Okay, this is check-in number 9. So since the last check-in on Tuesday, I've probably spent about 8 hours working on the material for this course. Since then, I spent a lot of time on Wednesday and Thursday morning just reviewing notes and doing practice problems to get ready for the quiz that we just took on chapter 15. So I re-watched a few of the videos that you have for this chapter and reworked some of those example problems. And then I also went through my notes and the homework, and I was just trying to review areas that I thought were more challenging. I've also started re-going through the chapter 15 text in the textbook. I've been trying to do the example problems out of there and read through some of the sections that I didn't quite fully understand the first time I was going through this chapter. And so far this week I've been focusing on general plane motion and those problems. So I've been trying to review how to work with those vectors to find the components that we need for the cross product, and how to break down an omega if you're given an omega value and it's not in one axis plane, how to break that down, kind of using the same techniques we used in statistics. And then I've also been looking at the instantaneous center of zero problems. I'm trying to get better at familiarizing myself with when that is applicable and how to recognize where the instantaneous center of zero velocity is located. So this weekend I hope to put a lot more time into the rotating frame problems and the relative motion problems, because that's the part that I found most confusing. And I feel like if I get that part down, then all of the simplifications from there that make the problems easier would become a lot easier. And so I'm still working on trying to figure out what each term is in the acceleration and velocity equations for relative motion. But I have spent quite a bit of time on that already, and I'm feeling a bit more comfortable with that. So some of the problems that I've reworked in the homework is the problem where you have the two drums of different radiuses, and there's a rope attached to it. And so that was a good example of a problem that we had to break down into components and solve it using a system of equations. And it also was an instantaneous center problem, which is something I've been working on. And then I also worked on the problems that have gears in them, and so comparing the motion of one gear to another was another instantaneous center problem that I've been working. And then I did a couple of problems in the book that had collars on them that slide back and forth. So I've been trying to practice those problems and trying to recognize when you look at the problem what things will cancel out, like what directions velocity is not applied in, which is something that happens with collars. The velocity only happens in the one direction. And then I've also been working on the example problems in the book that have to do with like some construction equipment like a front loader, and the front loader is moving forward as the bucket moves, and you have to find like the velocities and accelerations of that. And so those are the rotating frame problems. And so I'd like to rework that problem again, because even though I've done it a couple times, there's still some things in there that I'd like to review. But overall, I think the chapter is going pretty well. It is difficult material, but I feel a little more confident each time I do some more example problems. So I hope to spend a lot more time this weekend going over the rotating frame relative motion problems that are more of like the 3D problems. Because I've reviewed most of the other sections in the book and feel more confident about those problems, but the rotating frame problems I would like to do more examples of, so I plan to do some of those today and tomorrow. But that's all for now. I think everything's going well. I'm still just preparing for the upcoming test in this chapter. I hope this weekend to start working on the sheet that we're allowed to use for the test, and kind of build that as I continue to study and do more practice problems.